Hey guys, welcome back to nationalhsfb.com. I'm Larry Godwin, your host, with my counterpart tonight, Joe Maimone from Prep Gridiron Logistics. And this guy that you see on the screen with us needs really no introduction. You see his name, you recognize his face, right? Coach Trent Dilfer with Lipscomb Academy up in Tennessee. You guys recognize him from his NFL days. Coach Dilfer was gracious enough to agree to spend few minutes with us tonight, just talking about his career in general and specifically what he's doing with the Lipscomb program up there. Coach, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Larry, Joe, thanks for having me, guys. This is going to be fun.
Joe, why don't you lead us off with the first question?
Yeah, so, Coach, we have different posters on our website. Send us questions leading up to the interview. So I'm going to just pick out a good one here. The first one, this poster wants to know, of all the things you could have done, a lot of your peers, they'll either coach at the highest level, they'll go into TV and have a great career going forward. Tell me what drew you to, number one, high school football coaching, and number two, Lipscomb Academy.
Good question.
Well, we might have the whole interview with that one. I'll try to do the Reader's Digest version. Right. When I left the NFL, I had an opportunity to go coach for the Oakland Raiders or stay in management with the 49ers. And instead, I chose to do TV and had a really good experience, 9 years working at ESPN, got to do some really cool stuff. Stepped away from TV. I started thinking it was a little too polarizing for my taste. So I retired. And when I said retired, I mean, I really retired. I moved my family out of California to Austin, Texas. Still had one more daughter playing volleyball. She agreed to do it. And I was going to play golf and be an entrepreneur. I had stakes in a few businesses and was just going to do that. And it was fun. I mean, I would say this, it was really fun. I wasn't purposeful. It wasn't fulfilling, but it was fun. In 2018, I played 218 rounds of golf. So
that's a lot of golf, Coach.
Yeah. Played in tournaments, was at country club every day, kind of the American dream, and chased my daughters around playing volleyball. I had one at TCU at the time, ended up going to Louisville. One that was playing high school volleyball and one that just finished at Pepperdine playing on the beach. So we'd travel over the country, watch them play, and I'd play golf. And my wife and I were foodies. We'd go out to eat. We had great friends in Austin. I mean, it sounded really good. And I just didn't feel right about it. I didn't feel like I was giving back to people. I didn't feel like I was giving back to the game. And in the midst of that time at ESPN, I'd been offered some really neat jobs, really good jobs, coordinator jobs in the NFL, head coaching jobs in college football, coordinator jobs in college football. And I always said with daughters, I didn't want to go coach while my daughters were in those teen years. And so when we're empty nest, I was looking at empty nesting. I'm getting a little sick and tired of the retirement thing. My wife kept saying, why don't you coach? Why don't you coach? I'm like, I don't know if you really know what you're signing up for. I don't have an off button. I'm either all in or I'm all out. And I'm like, if I go coach, it's going to be, a 24/7, 365 thing. And I don't want to leave any shrapnel with the family. So that kind of got me to this place where I was kind of searching, call it a midlife crisis, call it whatever you want. I knew I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. So hence, and I'll finish answering the question, why Lipscomb Academy? It chose me. I mean, it was the opposite of what I was looking for. I tell this story. I honestly did not look at the film until after I had signed the contract. I cried the first time I watched the film. Trenton Kirkland, who was my coordinator, I hired out of Hutto, Texas at the time, really, really good coordinator. Now is at Vanderbilt. We sat down and watched the film for the first time, and we said, we may never get a first down. We might coach for 3 years and not get a first down. This place had just kind of became a dust bowl football wise and culturally. And it was a great challenge, but that's why now I can look back and know that it chose us. It took a group of people with a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of other things to build it and help change a community. And looking back on it, I'm so glad I never watched the film. I'm so glad it wasn't a job interview. Like I wasn't actually going out and interviewing to see which job I wanted. It chose me, and it's been one of the most purposeful, fulfilling things I've ever done.
Coach, I wasn't planning on asking you this, but since you brought up, how many rounds? I thought like 1,000, 1,500 rounds of golf. Is that what you said?
No, 218.
No, 218. Sorry about
2018. So it was kind of a goal of mine was to do that year. So yeah, it was a lot of golf, too much. After a fake knee too, I had knee replacement in 2017. So it was way to break,
Larry,
you know.
Larry, that number you were talking about in the 2000s, that was his total score.
Yeah.
What did you get your handicap down to, or did you track it?
Yeah, I was a plus 2.8 or something.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay,
so I've
you
been a
knew what
scratch
you're doing.
golfer.
All right.
Yeah, I've been a scratch golfer since college, and you know, golf was always an off-season passion of mine when I played, and played a lot when I was at ESPN. Now, I'll say this: I have not touched a golf club, since July 13th of 2019. So I played a little bit that off season when I took the job. I took the job in January of 19.
Yeah.
I played a little bit that off season. I played in a golf tournament, Lake Tahoe tournament I'd played in for 20 years. And then left Tahoe that summer, and the clubs are literally still in the travel bag from that time. And my golf buddies around the country cannot believe it. Yeah. But that's how passionate I am about what we're doing now. And it's just, you know, you feel, I think golf for me was a way to stay competitive. It was a connecting piece. It was my locker room outside of football.
Yeah.
Now all that's been replaced in a better way with coaching.
Listen, I'm going to put up a quote on the screen, give you a second to look at it. I'm going to ask you your thoughts on it. When you were hired back in, 2019 by Lipscomb, this is a quote that appeared in an article by the Associated Press. It said, Dilfer says he felt led to Lipscomb at this time with the school committing to build a premier football program after going 35-32 over the past 6 seasons. That you're walking into a rough environment. 35-32. It's not awful, but it's not great either. First of all, Coach, what did you mean by you felt led?
Well, two things. One, they were 3-19 the 2 years before we got here, and they'd had a massive decline in kids playing. And school-wide, they had lost boys. There were 78 below their admissions goal. Football program only had 38 kids in it the first day I stepped, and that is freshmen through seniors. Yeah. Of a school of, you know, we're at 455 right now. I think at the time I want to say it was around 350, but still pretty low numbers. The lead part, and I don't want to get too overly spiritual here. I don't know what your audience is, or too esoteric, but I'm a Christian man. I believe in living a faithful life. And I was that off season, that fall, basically, I kept sensing that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing in life. I'd been a good husband. I'd been a good father. My kids were getting ready to leave the house. We'd been philanthropic throughout my career. We'd checked the boxes. We'd done those things, but I didn't really feel like I was serving the way I needed to serve. And I just kept feeling this presence of, why do you keep saying no to me? Why do you keep saying no to me? And it became relentless. It became almost tormenting to why was I saying no to all these other opportunities where I could have served? And I remember telling my wife, we're for sure going to China. Like, that's where we're going. Like, we're going to go become missionaries in China, because I must be saying no to a greater purpose. My China became Lipscomb Academy. And I say that in a good way. It was truly, we were led here, and it was a huge family thing for us. I still had a daughter who was a junior in high school, all-state volleyball player, 4.0 student, had a great friend group, great community in Austin, great friends. We had community. Like, this was not get a job, go chase a job. This was turn your life upside down and go live without your family for 9 months. In fact, you can see my office, see my dog right there. That's where I slept for, 6 months.
Wow.
I didn't have a house. I had a an older couple that have become dear friends that kind of allow me to put my junk there. But their beds were too small. So I ended up sleeping here with my dog, who was a puppy back then. I showered and shaved in the locker room. I ate my meals from Uber Eats and from a kitchen here. And when I said I ate, drank, slept, Lipscomb Academy community, that's what I did. And it was a sacrifice. My family stayed in Austin. I flew back to watch our games on Tuesday nights. I changed how we practiced so that the boys had Tuesdays off so I could see her play. It was my other daughters. I mean, they all bought into it, but it was a huge family decision for us, which made us know that it was something bigger than us that was going on.
Well, listen, I've got a follow-up question to you, Joe. I hope you don't mind. But, it sounds like you spent a lot of time there. You were committed. You were dedicated. How did the kids receive you when you first got on? Because here you are, seriously. Here you are, former NFL Super Bowl winning quarterback. You could have done anything. You chose to become the coach of Lipscomb Academy. How did they receive you?
Well, I think it was a little shock and awe for everybody at first. I think most of them didn't realize what the heck was going on. Like, was this a publicity stunt? I remember early on that was kind of one of the narratives that was going on. Is this a publicity stunt to get the TV guy and the football guy to come in here, and is he really going to coach? Like, he's really going to care about kids? Can he coach kids that aren't great? I'd made a reputation coaching the best players in the country through the Elite 11 and the opening. So my high school coaching experience was around a bunch of 4- and 5-star kids. How's he going to handle, kids that are just learning how to play football and athletically might have some challenges? So this can't be real. I think where I earned credibility with the community and the kids early on was with the people I hired. I hired great people day one. I've always said this. I'll say this to my best friends, the head coaches in the NFL. The head coach is not the reason teams are successful. It's who the head coach hires. The biggest lie in sports is that Steve Kerr is the greatest coach in the world. He hires the best coaches that help him be the best he can be, but it's the staff. Bill Belichick, who he hires. You can go on Tony Dungy, the great ones I coached for, I played for Mike Holmgren. Those guys, they're great coaches because of who they hire. So I hired great people. I hired a very diverse group of coaches, and I don't just mean ethnically, socioeconomically, politically, backgrounds, like you name it. I wanted the kids to be coached by people that they're going to go interact with in the world, not just one type of person. They loved kids. They were good teachers. They were passionate about what they did. And then I went and connected. And I think that's really the biggest thing was I choose a word of the year every year. John Gordon's been getting me to do this for years. That year's word was connect. I don't think I was a very good connector in retirement, even at TV. I had surface level relationships. I never really went deep with people. And I immediately tried to change. And I had meals with parents. I was at every school play, girls basketball game, boys basketball game, whatever was going on in this community, I was at. And all of a sudden, instead of seeing me as a TV personality or a football player, they saw me as Coach Dilfer. And I, wore sweats and a Mustang shirt, was not anything different than what their walk of life was. And I knew how to do this. My stepdad was a football coach, was a head football coach. I grew up on the back of a blocking sled. I grew up as the ball boy in the locker room. I kind of knew what that high school life was like. It's not coach a team, it's be part of a community and then coach those community members' kids in life and in sport. And by connecting with them early on, I think very quickly this became, this is real. Like this guy actually, and the people he's brought in care about us, care about getting the most from our kids. By the way, celebrate everybody on campus and is really wanting to see the whole campus and the whole community, the whole school grow and get better and chase their best instead of just win football games.
Sure.
Coach, the next question is, if you look at the last 3 seasons, obviously 2019, 7-6, ranked number 68 in Tennessee, number 2,930 in the USA. 2020, 12-3, number 8 in Tennessee, number 319 in America. Last season, 13-1, number 3 in the state, number 17 in all of America. What? Give me the formula. If a coach is watching out there and says, you know what, I want to go to a private high school somewhere, and I want to do what Trent did. Give us one through 3 or 3 to 5, whatever points need to be done. How did you do it so quickly?
Number one is human development and mask it as a team. I think that's the principle I go around trying to teach people. If I learned anything, it's that you're in this, and this works for college too. Now, if you really dig into Nick Saban, you dig into Dabo Swinney, you dig into how they built their empires, they did it by developing the whole person. You'll become a product of your decision, of your choices with your decisions on the football field. So the type of player you become will be directly reflected in the type of choices and decisions you make off the field. Now, there is an athletic index, a baseline, obviously, right? So, yeah, I can't take a bunch of 5'7", 165-pound, 5'4" kids and make them great humans. You're going to win football games. I'm not saying that. I'm not that idealistic. But to help every student athlete reach their full potential and play to the close to the top of their potential as they can, they need to be developed in life. They need to be good sons, good brothers, good friends, good members of society. We really believe in high academic standards because you lose. It's not what you learn, it's how you learn a lot of times in high school. It's respecting the people around them. It's buying into something bigger than themselves. They're learning how to sacrifice. Football is the ultimate sacrificial sport. So you have to learn how to sacrifice. So we really focused on the human in general, and then trying to maximize every kid on our campus. I think the other thing you have to do is you have to recruit your campus. You know, you can't recruit in high school sports, and nor should you be able to, but you can recruit your own campus. You can make sure that football is exciting for every person on your campus.
Yep.
And you're not just recruiting players, you're recruiting a fan base, you're recruiting energy, you're recruiting the teacher, you're recruiting the administrator, you're recruiting everybody to buy into something that's bigger than just the school. So, our superstar right tackle right now, Brandon Solis, who's going to go anywhere he wants, he was a basketball player, and his mom looked me dead in the eyes and said, he will never play football, ever. Don't even try. So I didn't try to get him to play football. I tried to get Trisha to believe in what I could do for their family. And that now I developed a relationship with her. She trusted me. She knew we were in this for Brandon. Next thing you know, Brandon's playing football from basketball, and he's turning into one of the best tackles in America. Our team managers, our film people. We've developed an entire broadcast digital media team from our program. We have 15 million impressions on our social channels. Well, how did that happen? We recruited people from the community to buy into this vision that we were not selling, but that we were sharing. Now they want to become part of it. Our equipment guys are one of the key people in our building is our janitor, Evan. He's one of us. He wears coach's gear. He's treated with the same amount of respect as I'm treated with. He's part of our tribe and really trying to, so human development, recruiting your campus, your community. It's not players. I always heard said this way. Trent Baalke always said it this way. It's you're developing human capital in the football space. So everybody in the football space, you're trying to develop them around a bigger purpose. That's why we say tribe, not family. We want to grow this tribe to a bunch of people that are there to serve the tribe, and the tribe is there to serve them. We consider our 4th, 5th, 6th graders in our school system one of us. In fact, today after practice, they're in our film session. They're just part of who we are. So the more stuff you do like that, I think the more gasoline you pour on the development of your program. And then the third thing I would say is this is development. And when I say development of the athlete, let's just say the player. Let's just use football. Let's not be so holistic, esoteric. When you're just taking to developing a football player, you got to be a truth teller, because what happens is so many players have a vision and their parents have a vision of what they want to be, but that's not necessarily in line with what they can become. And you got to get them to understand that you'll actually enjoy this game more. You'll enjoy this process more if we can identify what you can become and get you to that spot. Not everybody can become the quarterback. I'm sorry, daddies. There's only a handful of them that can become the dude. Not all of them can become inside backers, right? The modern day inside linebacker, the highest level of football, it has length. There's a lot of 5'8", 5'9" kids that played inside linebacker for so long because they were the tough kid that played inside backer. Great, we're going to RPO you all day and throw the ball right over your head. So you need length for inside backers. So we take tall, skinny kids that have toughness and turn them into inside backers. Now you might struggle in 8th grade and 9th grade, 10th grade because you physically haven't developed yet, but you're going to develop into what you can be. And what you can be is an impact player with certain traits if we can develop those. So we're very, very specific with the traits we're looking for at every position. We're very honest with the players, transparent. They have the right to speak into this and have, conversations that may seem like they're conversations of conflict, but really they're good, healthy conversations, so that when we say, are you bought in, they're completely bought in for the plan that we have them, and that becomes the plan for them and their families as well.
Coach, man, you gave us a lot of nuggets there. It really is. It's very interesting philosophy that you're talking about. Given all that, what are your goals for this program? I'm looking at your schedule for this coming year, and it's not an easy schedule. You got Milton, Thompson, Alabama, Good Pasture Christian. You got a number of bona fide top shelf teams here. So what are your goals for this program?
Larry. Calvert Hall from Maryland is also a very good team. Don't forget them.
Yeah, absolutely. So a number of top shelf programs here. Are you trying to build a national brand, or what's your goal for this program?
Yeah, I want to be, I believe, again, there's a lot of want to in life. Very few know how to. And I don't know if I know how to either, but I want to make this a national power. Okay. We're really appreciative to Joe and Prep Gridiron Logistics that we were able to get games. Guys, we couldn't get games. I can't get texts back. I can't get emails back. Not just even a no. I can't get a response. If it wasn't for Joe, we wouldn't have, I think, 3 of those games. So, and then Knox, I really have a lot of respect for the East Tennessee teams. They don't back down to anybody. Knox is going to be really, really, really good this year. I have a new defensive staff. They look like the Oakland Raiders getting off the bus. So, we have a hard schedule. What are my goals? Yes, I want to turn this into one of the best programs in the country. But the way you do that is through process, and sometimes this gets such like coach speak, and I don't want to do the coach speak, get better one day at a time. But what you learn through a life of football, I have a 42-year football life. I started at 8, like I said, on the back of a sled. I'm 50 now, is that you don't ever get to what you want unless you know how to get there. And you know how you get there is get better every day. We're trying to get kids to buy in, to find something every single day to get better at. Sometimes getting better is learning how to deal with 100-degree weather on a Wednesday in June when most of our kids are at the lake. And you gotta muster it up in the morning and get your hour 15 lift on and go out and do boring, monotonous, everyday drills. And when you buy in that that's going to help you hoist a gold ball, then you got better that day with your mentality. We're trying to have kids that play harder than anybody else, that learn more football than anybody else, that then go on game night and play free, have fun doing it, root for each other, support each other, buy into, again, something bigger than themselves. You do that enough times. One of our big sayings here is again and 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 again. And there's times I'll say that for 2 minutes and they'll start nodding their heads and they'll start chanting it, because it is really an again mentality. Like, you have to get up and go do it again. Yeah. We want guys that are, players that are willing to do that. There's a lot of things we can get into, but yeah, to answer your question, I'm looking forward to this year's schedule. I'll show you a couple. There's only 2 things in my office that matter. It says do hard things and be uncomfortable. We want people to do hard things and be uncomfortable doing them, because we find that's where you get your best in life. When you try to climb big old mountains that people say you can't get to the top, and then when you get into the top, you can look down all those naysayers and say, guess what? We did the thing that you didn't think we can do, and we did it because we embraced hard things and being uncomfortable.
Are those I'm going to ask you to tell on yourself. So I love those quotes. Are those Trent Dilfer originals? Can I quote you on those?
I don't know. I started. That's a great question. You should ask people at ESPN which things are original, which ones are mine, and which ones are things they stole from me.
Is that right?
Sports. Half the stuff I see talking about quarterbacks, I thought I started, and now they've become common vernacular. I probably stole do hard things from somebody else. I know that Michael Gervais and I were talking about this. Dr. Michael Gervais is one of the most renowned human performance coaches in the world. He's coached, I want to say, up to 30 Olympians. People have jumped out of the stratosphere, big wave surfers, all this stuff. And we're having a conversation about 10 years ago or so. And we were talking about what I had learned on my journey. And I said, you know what, Mike, I think what I've learned is that the edge of uncomfortable is where you find greatness. Ooh. And he went, say that again? I said, well, it's right at that edge where you don't think you can do it. That's really where you find your greatness. And he said, can I steal that? And I said, was that good? And he goes, yes, that's a book. So I've been kind of using that, the be uncomfortable thing for a long time. I'm sure other leaders use it too. The do hard things is just simple, right? It's so simple, because most of what our culture is teaching our kids right now is the opposite, is do the things that are easy, do the things that are comfortable, do the things that make you feel good, do the things that don't push back to culture. And that's fine. I'm not telling people how to parent, but at the end of the day, it is you'll find if that's the direction you go, that you're not going to reach greatness. I mean, our overall umbrella concept here is, and it sits over everything we do, every day of life, everything on our campus, is be set apart. It is live a life that is set apart from what you're seeing on social media, practice differently than you see teams are practicing on Instagram. Just be set apart. If you can one day lay your head on your pillows, it's the end of your life, and you can say, you know what, I lived a life set apart, you'll have accomplished exponentially more than the other people that just live common lives.
Man, Coach, you got me ready to suit up. I'll be 52 in August. You got me ready to suit up and go play for you.
That's great.
Hey, we'll take anybody, baby.
And Coach, you know what you're doing? There's a saying, wise men walk when others run, and run when others walk. That's basically what you're doing. You're doing what your competitors can't or won't do. Basically, that's what I see from an outsider looking in. When I came down and met with you and watched that practice, that was like an NFL practice I watched. That wasn't a regular practice that most public schools in Tennessee run. That's for sure.
Yeah, and we did this. Everybody says, well, yeah, he has all these great players. And then we do. We have really, really good players. We did it the same way when we had those 38 kids on our roster. Mm-hmm. It doesn't change. The standard doesn't change of how you prepare, whether how talented your roster is. I'm sure I'm going to have years here where you have down classes where, for whatever reason, you don't have the talent pool. The standard's not going to change. You know what I mean? It's always going to be the same. I think when you say that, Joe, I made a very conscious decision when I got here. I was not going to be arrogant. I wasn't going to say, hey, we're going to be better than you. What I did say is we'll take on greater challenges than anybody's ever taken on. Like, we will immediately, as soon as they allow us to play them, we'll play them. I remember Brentwood Academy is a great program here in Middle Tennessee. Cody White he was a great high school coach in Texas. He's a great high school coach in Middle Tennessee. Multiple state championships, multiple NFL players. We asked them to play us in a scrimmage my first year. And Cody said, Trent, are you sure? They were just coming off a state champion. They had 2 Power 5 offensive linemen, Power 5 quarterback, Power 5 receiver. I can go on and on and on. And we had a bunch of kids just learn how to play football, basically. And I said, yeah, of course. He goes, are you sure? Like, we don't want to get your guys hurt. So you're not going to get us hurt. Our kids will play perfectly fine. We'll play hard.
Yeah.
I had parents coming up to me begging me not to play the big bag giant BA. It was one of the best games we ever took on. They smoked us in that scrimmage. I mean, smoked us, as they should. But our kids competed, and they were never the nail. They were always trying to be the hammer, and they ran to the football, and they didn't back down. It was hard to get a first down, but guess what? We got some. It was hard to stop James, their tailback, before he went to Oakland. Guess what? We did on the majority of the times we were asked to stop him. We didn't back down from anybody. And that was kind of a mentality builder. And then I just kept saying, listen, the schedules are hard to make, right? Even when everybody wants to play you, they're hard to make because you got to get the right dates, and you have your region games, your non-region games. People are into your contracts. They got buddies. By the way, if you think the old boys in Middle Tennessee liked that the California kid was showing up, they didn't. So they didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to have anything to do with me. So they don't want to play the NFL coach. So it was hard to find games, but we just kept taking them on. When I called Knox Catholic, I say, you want to do a 2-year contract? They're like, heck yeah, we'll smoke you. They didn't know what they were getting into. We knew where we were going. Nobody else did. And we just keep looking for bigger mountains to climb. And I don't know what this year's gonna be for us, but Joe and I are going to talk when this season's over, and I'm going to say, Joe, go find me the hardest games in America, and we'll go play them, whether they're here or there. Our place is ASAP, any squad, any place. So we'll go play anybody, anywhere, anytime. It can be in a parking lot. It can be in a day game, a night game, a Tuesday night because of COVID. I don't care when it is. We'll have our guys ready to play, and our kids have that mentality, and they're excited about it.
Yeah, and from a promoter perspective, Coach, obviously, Lipscomb Academy and Nashville in general is a desirable place to go for all the right and just reasons. So that it's never going to be a problem having some great competition, whether it's from Cali, Maryland, New Jersey, Texas. I'll be able to bring you together with teams. That's not a problem. And the more Tennessee teams that don't play you, don't want to play you anymore, don't worry about it. We're going to pick them up with out-of-state games.
We love it too. Like, we're doing something really cool with Calvert Hall. I've been talking to Coach, and they're coming down. We're playing a Saturday game because it helps economically, helps the school for them. Awesome. We're willing to play whatever night is best for them. But they got to get, because of flight prices, they're coming in Friday morning. So we're going to do some fun things with Calvert Hall. We did this with GAC last year. We're going to give them some private time on our field where no personnel can watch it, so they feel safe. We'll be up at school. We're going to do some type of dinner. Get together. We did this with GAC. We played like garbage can ball the night before the game. We had a big man throwing contest. Our kids end up like they've been friends forever, even though it's the night before what's supposed to be a heated battle. Kids can compartmentalize, man. You don't have to hate your opponent off the field, right? Like, you can meet new friends from new states and have great conversations and connect with people. And the next night, go try to break each other off. That's fine. I mean, that's what football is. But I like these out-of-state games because it gives our kids the opportunity to meet new people and hear different stories. We're talking about doing an international trip at some point. So a lot of our kids haven't been on planes. Imagine taking them over an ocean. So we want to give these kids big life experiences through the sport of football. And I think working with Joe and Prep Gridiron and doing fun things like this is a great opportunity for our community and for our kids.
Joe, you know what's coming.
Look over his right shoulder, Coach.
Coach, listen. Right here.
Shoulder.
Right here. Lowndes High School, the mighty Lowndes High Vikings. Listen, Joe has got. Joe, listen, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you out right here.
I like it.
The mighty Lowndes Vikings.
Helmet, by the way, that's a good looking helmet.
Yeah, man. The crimson and white of high school football. So listen, Joe has set us up this year as our opening game in the Georgia-Florida Challenge, where I think we're inviting American Heritage out of South Florida up. So it's a 1-year deal. So we're going to have an opening next year, Joe. I'm just saying.
We're going to have to change the name of it to the Georgia-Tennessee Challenge then.
There you go. There you go.
I love these Southeast games. It's a lot of fun. You know, the Elite 11 was interesting because I got to travel so much into Georgia, Texas, Florida, Carolinas, Kentucky, you know, and got to kind of see this region in the football, and Louisiana, Mississippi. And I was always enamored with the amount of athletes, the culture. Football means more. I love that SEC commercial where it just says it means more, right? It feels that way in the Southeast, that this football means more. I think that's a great thing if handled correctly. You know what I mean? I don't know. We may get smoked at some point. It doesn't mean we're not going to keep trying to get better and keep playing better people. I think it's great for like I said, I keep saying it's great for our kids. It's great for our community to take on big challenges and have to prepare for those. I'll tell you this. I don't know what's going to happen with Milton and Thompson. Those are our first two. They're on the road. But I'll tell you what, every single day at practice, every day in the weight room, every conversation that's going on has to do with Milton, Georgia, because they're the first one, and we want to go 1-0. And they are on the forefront of everything we talk about and think about. And I hope we are for them. That's the way it should be. And then we'll reset the next day and we'll get ready for Thompson, who's going to be a war daddy. And they are so well coached.
That's a good program.
But we'll just keep resetting and moving forward.
Well, Coach, earlier in the conversation, you used an interesting word or group of words. You used the word athletic index, indicating that, you know, you got some kids that I guess you mentally, I don't know if you have a rubrics where you actually grade kids out, but it sounds like you've got some really, really great kids with a super high athletic index coming up for this season. What are some of the names we should be looking out for on a national scale?
Yeah, so roster management is a huge thing. I'll go back if any young coach wants to learn this. You have to manage your roster, I would say, at least quarterly. Okay. High school kid. I learned this from a great coach named Kevin Smith, who was my defense coordinator my first couple of years. Now has moved out of coaching. His wife is University of Tennessee. She's the pitching coach. So he's kind of being the dad thing and helping her out. But he taught me this early on, that don't ever look at a kid in January and make a decision for him in June, because by April, he may be a very different kid. Mm-hmm. And if you already pigeonholed him in January for where he's going to be in June, you're making a huge mistake. Same thing in June. We all make this mistake. We just actually had our coaches retreat last weekend and went through every single player in our program from 9th grade all the way to senior, and had a full conversation around every single player, because we want to make sure, hey, it's the first weekend of June. Did we put this person in the wrong bucket? Have they developed past what our expectations were? We had a kid, Chase Allen. It's 142-pound safety when I got here as a sophomore, kind of a slower footed, thought he was a hooper, point guard, thought he was a receiver. And we early on, we just every quarterly just kept reviewing his growth. He had great work ethic. He had great temperament. He was a smart kid. He was a leader. Ends up being a big-time all-state safety for us. Now he's playing college football. But that happens because you're managing your roster. To answer your question on names, I mean, gosh, we do have a lot. I mean, I believe we have the number one corner in the 24 class, Caleb Beasley. I don't follow the rankings too much, so I kind of just go off what kids are telling me. If he's not the best, he's one of the best. He has every offer there is. Edwin Spillman's he's the same class. Edwin Spillman's in the same class. He's the number one ranked inside backer in his class. Hank Brown, our quarterback, is one of the best in the country. Nathan Spillman's committed to Tennessee. He's Edwin's brother. Brian Longwell, our other inside backer, heavily recruited kid, hasn't decided where he wants to go, but he's a Power 5 kid. Brandon Solis, I mentioned. Chauncey Gooden, our left guard. He's a sophomore. He's one of the best guards in America. Junior Sherrill is kind of our jack of all trades. Again, I don't know what their stars are, but he's a highly recruited kid. And then, you know, we've done things like taken receivers and turned them into corners. And now we have a kid that's being highly recruited as a corner who was a receiver for us last year. We had a kid named Tony Carter that I will be shocked if he's not the best defensive lineman in the state of Tennessee as a sophomore. He had a great freshman year, started every game for us as a freshman. Again, he's gotten better as the offseason's gone on. I think last year he's about 5'11", 6 feet, 245, twitchy, powerful. Now he's 6'2", 6'1 and a half, 6'2", 268, powerful, fast, strong. Reminds me of like an Aaron Donald or a Warren Sapp type player. So we have a lot of really good kids. And we have kids that nobody's ever heard of that will be players for us. Kamarion Ward, Mark Johnson, Joshua Rubin, Ford Austin. All these are college football players that many might not know about, but we see them every single day, and they're getting better every day. Ford Austin's a great story. Ford Austin was a 197-pound baseball player before his junior year, and I challenged him as we went to summer. I said, Ford, you have the mentality to be one of the better offensive linemen in Tennessee if you buy into it. He came back from dead period at 236, played the season around 243. He's an elite foot athlete, ended up winning the left tackle job midway through the season, and graded out as our second best offensive lineman after the state game. So we believe that we're going to be much better week 4 than we were week 1. We're going to be better week 6 than we were week 4. And what happens is if every kid buys into this and they continue to develop, because we'll do an entire roster review in the middle of the season too, to make sure which kids are developing and which kids aren't at the pace that we want. So, yeah, and there's a bunch of other names too. I got Bo Smith, John Adair, Chris Thompson, Amir Jean St. Charles. Like, these are all college football players. They just you may not have heard about them. They may not be at camps. I don't know how the word of mouth gets out there, but we believe of our 22 starters this year, and really we feel like we have about 30 starters, we feel that probably 15 to 20 of them will play college football, if not more.
That's great, Coach.
Yeah, we had 140 college visits over the spring. 20 of our 28 seniors are playing college football. I can go on and on and on. You know, we had that spring showcase that had massive attention. We had, 30-something colleges there that night alone. Our kids have really bought into using football as an opportunity to get their college education paid for. And that's really what we talk about. It's not about playing on Sundays or going and playing the SEC. It's, hey, use football more than it uses you. Use football to go get a higher education, get it paid for, and create some type of generational wealth to take care of your family for years.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, being that you're a private school, obviously, if you look at the top 10 rankings at the end of every season, I'd say 7 to 8 out of the top 10 teams are privates, and they do have an advantage because you could really take kids regionally from all over the place. It's not like being at a town public school where you're limited to that population. As your success has been going on, 19 to 20, 20 to 21, this year you're definitely going to start out as the number 1 team in the state of Tennessee. Are you finding more and more parents and students want to migrate towards Nashville to play for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I know everybody says I'm the big bad wolf in Tennessee and that I recruit. Listen, you can't recruit. It's impossible. There's no such thing as high school recruiting. We're not going to Little League football games, right? We're not doing any of that stuff. However, what you do is you create a culture and a program that's attractive, and that, by the way, we 2 platoon. So we don't, you don't have 37 guys on the sidelines with their hands down their pants to keep their hands warm, right? Our dudes are playing. We'll play 55 guys in a night. So people want to come play here. Now they have to do it in the private school sector through admissions. Awesome. Mm-hmm. They fill out an inquiry. They go take a school tour. They learn about our learning lab. They learn about our I Wonder lab. They learn about the English, the multiple languages they can take, the different math and sciences. They learn about drama club. They learn about our other sports. And guess what? They also learn about football. And while they're here, we get to talk to them and we get to talk to their families. about what Lipscomb Academy has to offer, and we become a really attractive place for families, because that's the other thing too, is we're not looking for football players. Please understand me. I am never, ever looking for football players. I'm looking for good fits in our community with good families that, again, are willing to buy into something bigger than just being a star. I can't tell you how many families I've said, this just doesn't seem like a good fit. Like, I get it, you want to come here and play football, but this just doesn't seem like a good fit. We're looking for really good fits of people that are going to make our community, our school better, and they may or may not contribute on Friday nights.
Well, Coach, speaking of good fits, you talked about earlier that the great coaches really aren't great coaches per se. It's the people they hire and surround themselves with. So I'm assuming you put yourself in the same boat. Talk about the folks that you hire as your assistants. What do you look for?
Yeah, well, I have really good partners. So, I have people who have been with me a long time that I've developed a trust relationship with. I think number one, I'm looking for people that are passionate about kids and development. They don't look at what a kid is, they look at what a kid can become. So they look at all the potential that a young person has, and they're excited about helping bring that out in a kid. I do look for some expertise. So I do think that there's chess, and I do think that there's checkers in football. We want to play chess here. So you have a Grant Williams, who I've known for years. In fact, I went to Seattle in 2000 as he was leaving the Seahawks and getting ready to go to the Patriots. He wins a Super Bowl in New England, plays for the St. Louis Rams, starts his own Christian counseling company when he retires, runs a ministry, still coaches high school, some small college ball. And immediately I want to bring a guy like Grant into my program, and he's our offensive line coach. Sione Tafo is a guy I've known forever, been on the Elite 11 tour with me forever. Great offensive and defensive mind, great leader. He's my assistant head coach. So to be able to get him, he was a two-time head coach, 2 good programs in California. Now, part of the reason they come is because our wives are friends. We have relational equity with these people. We have a life in football where we've talked over years about dreaming about something bigger than just what we're doing. We didn't know it'd be high school football. So, you do all these things, looking for young personnel. I will say this, you got to develop, again, human capital in the football space. And you got to do it with young people. You're teaching kids. I'm 50 years old. I try to be cool, but I am crusty and old and don't always relate to the kids. But you have a Preston Campbell who played quarterback at Azusa Pacific, is working for the Arizona Cardinals, kind of hip and cool, got a young wife, got a new kid, and he's a director of football operations, and he loves it. And he has that connective tissue with the kids all the time. You want Middle Tennessee people. Jamie Graham is a Middle Tennessee legend. Vanderbilt basketball, football starters, a freshman, did a 5th year at UCLA, could have played in the NFL, had a bad knee injury, and all of a sudden trying to develop him as a coach. We've tried to really train. We really tried to become a place where we can launch coaches. So Riley Jeffers comes to me as a coach that was with Lane Kiffin at Florida FAU. He comes up to me, does another year with me. Now we get to launch him to Ohio State. Jalen Harris is the young coach out of Auburn, then a 5th year in Colorado. Mel Tucker calls me and said, this guy can really coach. We get him for a year. Now he's at Auburn. Wilson Appleton, another really good player at Auburn. We take him, switch sides of the ball. He learns defense under Sione. Now he's launching. We've lost 8 assistants this year alone, 15 in 2 years, but they've launched to bigger and better things. Trenton Kirkland, I mentioned earlier, went and became an offensive coordinator in Texas, where he's from, made a bunch of money, had a big job, and then he was so successful doing it. Vanderbilt calls me, hey, we're looking for somebody. I'm like, I got this guy in Texas. He coached with me here in Nashville. He's amazing. You need to interview him. Clark hires him. So this connective tissue in this football world is so powerful. And when you have good people that you developed into really good coaches, they've coached in an NFL model, which Joe said, if you're here, you realize that we kind of have structured this in an NFL environment, they're going to be way ahead of their peers as coaches. And we love launching them. You know, our mission statement here is serve, grow, launch. As coaches, we want to serve you, we want to help you grow, and we want to launch you. So normally that's player directed, but it's also from my seat, I'm doing that with coaches. I'm here to serve the coach, help grow that coach, and then help launch that coach. Every time I don't do 2-year contracts with coaches, I do 1 year, because I'm like, if you're not being attractive, if other people aren't trying to come steal you from me, then I'm not doing my job. So we do these 1-year contracts. Like, wait a second, this doesn't seem like job security. I'm like, no, trust me, this is job security, because you're going to launch somewhere bigger than Lipscomb Academy. Well, if you're going to lose 15 coaches in 2 years, you better be identifying young people that have the potential to be great coaches. Jordan Jackson, starting safety for us last year, really good player, all-region player. Going to be a college football player, probably an NAIA type college football player, ruptures his Achilles right after the season. And all of a sudden, his football dreams have been somewhat shattered. Now, it doesn't mean he can't do it at some point. I'm walking through our indoor one day, and I'm kind of seeing him down, and I love this kid. In fact, every year I have one kid wear number 8. I get to choose the kid. 8's our family number. And I asked the kid's permission, hey, would you wear this in honor of our family? And Jordan wore number 8 as a senior. And I see him down, and I'm like, man, Jordan, you should not be down. Your future's so bright. You're one of the greatest kids I've ever been around. I said, but coach, my dreams and this, I don't know where I'm going to go to school. You know, I work so hard for this. And it just hit me. I'm like, you're going to coach. He goes, what? I said, you're going to stay in town. You're going to coach for me. He goes, well, I and I said, no, you're going to coach. I said, go back and talk to your family, pray about it, get back to me in 2 weeks. No rush. You don't want to make a rush decision. About 10 days later, I get a text, Coach, I am in. So, and not only has he been in, he's already, after a couple months of coaching, he gets it. He connects with his kid, with his players he's coaching. He can separate just playing last year from now I'm coaching you. His preparation is off the charts. I sat in my office with him today. I said, Jordan, guess what? I'm going to be able to pay you. Now I'm going to pay you to be a coach. And I mean, just be able to see these turnarounds and develop. And here's what's going to happen. I can tell you right now that in 10 years from now, Jordan Jackson will be coaching in the ACC or the SEC or somewhere. And he's going to be a defensive coordinator. And Joe, you're going to go back to this podcast and you're going to be like, hey, Trent told us 10 years ago, I'll probably be in Florida, retired and, walking around on my walker. But Jordan's going to go and coach. Riley Jeffers at Ohio State. He'll be a head coach. Wilson Appleton will be a head coach. Sione could be a head coach anywhere right now, so he chooses to hang out with me. Jamie Graham will be a head coach. I mean, these guys will go on and be head coaches of big programs in high school or college football. They're just really talented people that hopefully we've been able to develop them in this football space.
Joe, listen, man, I told you. We're pushing an hour, and I told you, I said, Dilfer's going to be awesome on camera.
I'm good. So, you haven't even got me started. You haven't even started. You're talking the nose or anything like that, man. I
only have one more question left. Joe, what do you have left?
I'll leave it up to you, bud. I've learned a lot, and I'm good to go.
Coach, my final question is this. How much do you miss the NFL, and do you see yourself back in that world one day, whether it's with a team, in front of a TV camera? How much do you miss the NFL?
I don't miss TV at all. I really enjoyed the first stint, the first half of my TV career. The second half, I didn't enjoy so much. I have a lot of really good friends in the NFL. I still watch the NFL closely because I still have some media that I do for friends like Colin Coward and Ryan Russillo and Rich Eisen, Albert Breer. I have friends in the media that for years I was really close to, and they like having me on and talking shop. So I still follow pretty closely. I don't miss the NFL lifestyle. I don't miss the professional aspect of sport. I really like this amateur space. It's actually the opposite of what people thought. Listen, I love coaching Edwin Spillman. He amazes me every day. I love coaching Hank Brown. I love coaching Caleb Beasley. I love coaching Chauncey Gooden. Those guys, it's very realistic that if they get developed to the next level, will be NFL players. I enjoy coaching Ethan Poling and Wade Smith and Mason Baker, kids you'll never hear of. They're not going to play college football. They're good, solid high school kids just out here grinding it out to become part of something bigger than them. I love seeing them develop. Our center last year, Carson Pierman, when I showed up to school, again, this is my state winning center. When I got here, it was like 165 pounds. He played at 240, fantastic foot athlete, great punch, good hands, leader, good eyes, a reliable ball handler. Remember, centers are ball handlers, so a reliable ball handler. You couldn't have a better high school football player, right? He was just perfect. I like coaching those guys as much as I enjoy coaching the blue chip. So I can't remember why I started answering that question, but it is just so I enjoy that part of it. I don't think I would enjoy coaching the guys trying to get his second contract as much.
Right.
Now, there is value in that, and I lived it, right? And I had really good coaches. The most influential man in my life, probably outside my dad's, is Clyde Christensen. Clyde coached me in Tampa. Clyde coached Peyton. I joke with him all the time. I said, man, did you get it right? You had to go coach Peyton and Tom after me. Well, that must have been a buzzkill. So, he goes from coaching me to Peyton Manning and winning Super Bowls with Peyton, then to Tom Brady now in Tampa and coaching Tom. Clyde's a great coach, but a better man. Most of my parenting strategies I've used come from Clyde. Most of my coaching strategies come from parenting strategies, which came from Clyde. So you can have an impact in the NFL, but it doesn't happen that often. Here daily, you get to have an impact, and there are no losses in high school football. I think that's something that high school coaches need to learn. I did learn it my first year. We lost 4 in a row my first year, and I was like, wait a second, this isn't going the way I thought it was. And in those 4 losses on Friday nights, we probably had as many wins on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it became very clear to me that when you choose to be a high school football coach, the greatest part of it is you never really lose. Right. You might lose on the scoreboard, but if you handle it the right way, you're winning. You're winning kids, you're winning families, you're winning the campus. You can have an impact, a positive impact every single day, regardless of what happens on Friday or Saturday nights.
Coach, this has been an outstanding hour that we've had with you. I can't thank you enough for joining us. I think that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Listen, you call me anytime. If you just feel the need to have to talk to someone, I get the feeling that you can talk. You can talk to anybody.
They used to have to rap me in my ear at ESPN. Like, for those who don't know TV, the way it works is you have an earpiece in and you have producers behind the scenes that need to get to certain breaks for ad dollars and whatnot. And if I got passionate about something, Steve Young and I used to do this Super Bowl Sunday all the time. We'd have the pregame Super Bowl show. And Steve and I would go on before and say, let's torture Matt Garrett. Matt Garrett's one of our best friends and our producer. And Steve would be like, okay, first segment, 3 reps. Second segment, 5 reps. And by the last segment, when they don't have any ads on and they got to just like go to the next show, we'll just keep talking. And it was like a rap fest in our Trent, Steve, shut up, rap, stop talking. You're done. We got to get to Boomer. So when I'm passionate about something, we can talk.
Oh, man. Well, guys, I told you this was going to be a treat tonight. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, this interview. Make sure you join us next week, because Coach Dilfer was great to join us, but he's part of this national coaching series that Joe and I have been doing. Joe, it would be really fun to have Trent Dilfer, the head coach for St. John Bosco and Mater Dei on the screen. Those 3 can talk.
Better yet, I'd rather see them play each other next year.
How about we get them talking after the game? How about that?
We'll take it on. I don't know if we're ready for those 2, but we'll definitely take it on.
Coach, once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We got to do it again sometime. Joe, set it up, man.
You got it. I'll see you. Got Trent. I'll be down there at the Milton game on August 19th, that Friday night. It's you against Milton, and then we got Buford versus Thompson right afterwards, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And then the following day, I drive to Valdosta for the Georgia-Florida Challenge, which is Lowndes and Colquitt taking on Deerfield Beach and American Heritage. So we'll all be together in less than 2 months.
Listen, I'm looking forward to seeing Coach Trent Dilfer walk on our sidelines next year when Lowndes beats Lipscomb Academy. How about that?
Hey, any squad, any place. Let's go.
That's right. ASAP.
Thanks for your time, Coach. Have a good night.
See you guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Hey, guys.